in a lot of other things that I play, I think I could use a lot of different basses that are all good, and they would be. I still choose whichever one I think is the best for the situation, but in this case, it's like the only one for the situation because it wouldn't be possible to do for me anyway to do without that instrument. So yeah, it is. It's like it's it's on the cover of the CD too, and it's in all the pictures because it's like it really did make it possible for me to be able to do this kind of stuff.
Welcome to episode 104 of the Bass Shed podcast. My name is Ryan Roberts. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? On the episode is my good friend Steve Millhouse. Steve will be talking and has been talking about his new album, The Unwinding, that will be released on Steeple Chase Records in mid-February, and the custom bass by Fodera that was built specifically for that project. We'll hear more from Steve in a second, but before that, for any and all customers of Lemur Music, be careful of a fake website that was created and has been trying to get payment information from the existing Lemur Music customers. The website wasn't even like a good job at being a fake. Like, it's a terrible fake. Like, the first picture on the website is a picture of a drum set. They left in a bunch of placeholder text, for like the website template. It's pretty bad. So just heads up, everybody. Make sure you double check the URL when you go to Lemur Music. That is Lemur Music, LEMUR music.com. They've been dealing with GoDaddy for about a week and a half now, actually trying to get all that straightened out, get the fraud account taken down. What a pain. But stop by the real lemurmusic.com for everything you need for the double bass. lemurmusic.com. Speaking of Lemur, a T from Lemur, and I sat down. We had a meeting with the other folks of the Bass Shed Academy. We were talking through preparing for the NAMM show, preparing for the ISB conference in Michigan, launching the double bass performance ensembles and some workshops that we're going to be putting together. I will keep you all in the loop as those events and opportunities get more detailed. I will definitely be at NAMM, and I will definitely be at the ISB conference. And I look forward to seeing you all out there. Regular listeners of the podcast, you know I've been talking about my record, Smile. It is now available for pre-order. You can go to thebassshed.com/album, and that will take you, right to the first single that's up. That tune is titled Winter Nocturne. It's kind of a moody, atmospheric ballad. It's a bit of a vibraphone feature, featuring the playing of Nick Mancini. For podcast listeners only, I have the second single fully mixed. It's a tune titled Generations. I was in the studio wrapping that up today, actually. And as of right now, while I'm recording this for the podcast, I have not posted the single yet. Haven't posted it yet. It was an interesting session. The engineer, good friend of mine, at one point we were roommates, like we're really, really tight. But there were some tensions there. There's some tensions in the studio. I don't know if it was just because I was hungry. I don't know if it was, because I had listened to myself play too much and kind of burnt out on that. I don't know exactly what was going on, but tensions got a little hot in the studio. Eric and I are cool now. Everything's fine that way. But I got to spend some time with this tune, maybe step away from it for a day or two, come back to it with fresh ears, and check it out. But that single Generations will be up shortly. Again, stop by thebassshed.com/album, and that will have all the information about pre-ordering and some information about the album. All right, as I mentioned, my friend Steve Millhouse is on the podcast. Steve and I have known each other a long time. Yeah, I took lessons from him in college also. Steve's a very dear friend and has meant a lot to me and in my musical journey and in my life. I'm really stoked. That Steve has a couple albums coming out. The first of which is called The Unwinding, out on Steeple Chase Records on February 15th. We're going to talk about that. I know he's got some dates in Japan coming up. We don't really talk about the Japan dates as much as we just talk about the album, because the album is tenor saxophone, 6-string electric bass, and drums. And so in the trio, Steve plays a lot of chordal stuff on the bass, as well as playing bass lines. And so I was really interested in just the approach to playing like that. Like, how do I say it? He's carrying a lot of weight there with what he's doing musically. He's responsible for the chordal harmony and what he's doing bass line wise and everything that goes into playing bass in a trio. Yeah, it was a good time talking to him about his approach to the music and the Fodera that he had made specifically kind of for this project, or with this project in mind. I don't know the best way of saying that, but it was a bass that was built aimed at playing in this specific setting, in a trio setting with tenor, 6-string electric bass, and drums. So we're going to talk about that. And for all podcast listeners, stop by YouTube, because Steve, we definitely did like a video thing to this, and Steve shows off the bass, and the bass is gorgeous. It's a great looking bass, great sounding bass. There's videos up to him with the trio, SteveMillhouse.com. Stop by and check those out. I will have some other links up to Steve and the album at thebasshed.com/podcast/Steve Millhouse _2, because this is the second time he was on the podcast. He was at what was the other episode? The other episode was I want to say episode 34 was the episode he was on previously. So it's been a little while. It's been a little while since he's been on. Always great to have him on the podcast. And here it is. Here's my talk with New York bassist Steve Millhouse.
Looks a little early for you there.
Yeah.
You all right?
I'm good. I feel like there should be a disclaimer, like this conversation might not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
For any audience.
Yeah.
Let me turn this down a little bit here.
Yeah, I just woke up, but I'm all right.
Do you have a second for me to make another coffee real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, man. I mean,
no
you have to split right at.
No, I got nothing to do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, me too. Great. Good. We're busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a second.
Let's dig in, man.
Yeah.
Where's the record out? I know it's coming out soon.
The tentative release date is February 15th.
Okay. What's that, next month? What day is today?
At least the streaming. I don't know when I'll actually have the physical copies of it, but it should be on all the streaming platforms on the 15th of February.
Nice. Nice. So last time you were on, I think you were having the bass, the Fodera, still built for it. We'll talk about the bass in a second. We'll talk about the record. The record's a trio with you, tenor, and drums.
Yeah. Yes, I put together two trios kind of after the whole pandemic thing. And I wanted to do one where I could play more some chord melody stuff, also play the chords to the tune with the saxophone playing a melody. So that trio I do that kind of stuff for, and that's the first record that's coming out. So I tried to pick some tunes that worked well with only those instruments involved. Mm-hmm. So it's some kind of classic jazz tunes, or at least from some of the great composers. And then we do some of my compositions as well. And on this particular record, there's 2 of the 7 are mine.
Nice. Kind of written
with this instrumentation in mind.
Yeah. What were the defining factors for picking the tunes? Like, were you just looking for melodies? Were you looking for like kind of angular changes? So since you're playing them, harmonies really outlined in a way. Like, what were some things you were like, that one's gonna work?
Yeah, some of it was I had a little trial and error and found some things that didn't work. Mm-hmm. Tunes with real complex changes, it's harder, because then when I'm taking a solo, if I'm not playing like a chord solo, you kind of lose the richness of the harmony,
Sure.
that's going. So I tried to also pick tunes that like maybe had some rhythmic motive in the comping, and then the melody separate from that, so basically we're each playing a part, so I'd be playing like the chord part and the bass part at the same time, but with a specific rhythm, so like Whisper Not, for instance. Also we do a monk tune. There's like the pedal on I Mean You. So we play the opening lick in unison, and then I play like in fifths the pedal point stuff, and then I play chords in the bridge and that kind of stuff. So it has like it feels like there's something more to grab onto,
Right.
It's like we're playing parts instead of just a bunch of things that would be better served with bass, piano, and saxophone.
Right. Now, when you brought this concept to the other two in the trio, were you guys talking about concept at all? Did you guys just show up and play and let it naturally let them kind of find their space in it? Or was there some, round table brainstorming, talking through it a little bit before you guys actually hit?
Yeah. I'm not sure you could ever use brainstorming with me, but it was
drizzle?
like
maybe it wasn't a full-on storm.
I'd say like a mild cold front, maybe.
Yeah, a slight gust.
So I got together with Rich, the tenor player, Rich Perry.
Yeah.
The first time we got together and played like that kind of stuff was maybe 2015. We had a few rehearsals. I was trying to put the trio together then. Mm-hmm. So we, it's a little odd because, mostly everybody's used to playing like first of all, with double bass and that kind of, group. Yeah. And then, with some chordal instrument as well. So now it's missing both of those elements. So yeah. I wanted to make it where it was something that like, you didn't feel like something's missing, Mm-hmm. So I didn't really talk about it too much. We just tried it. And then the first time that Eric Halvorson, the drummer, played on any of the rehearsals was, I think this last March. Okay. When this version of the trio got together. Yeah. So we, we had a few rehearsals back in 2015, and then I was out of country for a while, and then a bunch of other stuff came up, and so it never kept going since then. So we had like a 7-year break. Then we
before it even started.
Yeah, pretty much. We did like maybe 3 or 4 rehearsals with some different drummers, but we established that it would work, at least at that point,
the overall concept.
But, yeah. So then when Eric started in the trio, it did it. I think it takes a minute, and I've had a couple other drummers sub in for things, and then they're like, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure what I should play yet, Mm-hmm. So I think they have to find it a little bit, but because I wanted it to be more of an even, like 3-way conversation of things, instead of it being like just the bass playing the bass and then the piano and then the horn.
Yeah, the jazz hierarchy of.
Yeah, I wanted it to be more of like the weight of carrying the tune is all spread evenly all the time. Yeah, or as much of it possible. So like even during my solo, Rich plays behind me sometimes. Yeah. And Eric has to play, more and find his own part, let's say, because I'm doing, the other stuff that's not necessarily real traditional sounding, I guess.
Right. How has this shaped your approach to playing different aspects of space? Because there's so much of it and you have so much to choose from from 2 directions now. Am I going to play a bass part or am I going to play a chordal part? And then even with that, what am I going to do with the space? So, I mean, there's not only is there a zillion decisions we always make while playing about what you're going to do with every beat, where you're going to put things and leave space, but now you'd have to do it for two instruments. How has this shaped your concept of space? And what kind of makes you decide which one to go with, bass or chords or?
Yeah, it's a good question.
You can get back to me.
No, the first thing that came to mind was it depends on which personality is going at that moment. But I mean, and it kind of is. It's almost two different headspaces in a way. Sure. I guess piano players do it all the time, but it was not necessarily. It was a little foreign for me, I think. But yeah.
I think piano players are taught how to think like that, though. Like bass players don't come up learning that mental approach to the instrument or playing space or playing with others.
Yeah. And it's too bad in a way, because I think you look at the overall thing very differently, when you do that. For the heads of the tunes, it's pretty easy to figure out like whether I'm going to play the bass part or a chord part. But then during solos, I mix it up some, like sometimes when there's maybe some of the themes in the music or defining the sections or changes to when the section changes, I'll play some chord stuff.
Okay, just outline some like landmarks of the form.
Right. Yeah. Like so, one of the tunes we play is Steve Swallow's "Falling Grace." Mm-hmm. So great tune. I can't remember how many bars it is. I have it memorized, but I don't have it in terms of number of bars because
it's an odd phrase. It's like 14 or 16 or something. It's like an odd phrase in there,
like 14 and 12 or something like that. Anyway, so the second section starts on a C minor chord and then to a C sharp diminished. So sometimes I would hit that, as we're going, just to make sure it's stays grounded for me and for everybody else and the listener too, because I mean it's. I think it helps to have some of those sounds at certain times to keep the overall sound of the tune happy.
Yeah.
So, or there's the last couple chords, are these like the ascending major chords up to the beginning of the tune again. So sometimes I play those, but it varied. It varies every chorus, I think,
Sure.
But that's what I try to keep in mind, and it's made me have to be more comfortable with space also.
Yeah. And then, go ahead.
No, which, your first, at least my first, kind of thought was I got to fill it up more. I got to fill it up, And so, especially in the solo, when there's no chords going on, so I had to like get more comfortable with, it's still a work in progress, but get more comfortable with leaving space and letting the music be instead of forcing it.
Right. How does it? Not only as a bass player do we have so much power to reharmonize just by what note we put, is the lowest sounding voice in a chord, but now you have complete control of the harmony. So how?
Right. That was the.
You could send everybody, on a major left turn with any reharm ideas. How do you conceive of reharm? Do you want to just leave it as it is so that there is a constant sense of familiarity for? The players in the group are great. They're probably not going to lose the form based on a different sound or a reharm, but giving the listener something that they can latch onto, because the listener might not be comfortable with all that space. There's a lot of space there for the listener to get comfortable with also.
Right. I don't think I reharm very much of it.
Okay.
I think I probably stick close to it again, just to like make sure that the sound of the tune, keeps going through the whole thing, where it never feels like people feel like, oh, they lost me now,
right.
The average listen, So I don't necessarily. Sometimes I add some stuff. Like if it's a ballad, I'll add some chords here and there. But I don't think I really change a lot of the structure of the original tune.
Okay.
Adding some passing chords and things I do. Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think through the different tunes. It's I don't really reharm it.
Okay.
If I do, it's maybe more when I'm walking through or playing the line. Then it gets like how I would normally play, where it's, I don't stick to, when I'm recording it though, I pretty much stick to the changes that are there. But, certainly when it gets a little more out and I'm only playing the bass line, then it definitely takes some other turns.
Sure.
But not intentional, just reactionary.
Right. How did you meet the other two?
I met Eric right after I moved to New York. We were playing some gigs together. And he actually recommended me for Uta Lemper's group that I was touring with her for quite a while. Was a recommendation of his.
That was pretty soon after you got to New York. You went to Paris or something, didn't you?
Yeah, we ended up being all over the place for like 5 years or so. All over the world. Great. He was subbing in that band for the drummer who was her husband, because they just had a little kid. So he was subbing in there, and the bass player that was in there is a very good friend of his. And I kind of knew of her music, but not the state that it was in. I knew of some music that she had done some years past. So he recommended me for it. So yeah, it was great. And then we played off and on ever since, a lot of different things. With Rich, I was a big fan of his before I moved to New York. He's been in the Village Vanguard big band since I don't even know when, 30 some years, maybe 30 years or whatever. Maria Schneider's band, but also maybe I was most familiar with his playing from, he was in Rufus Reed's band for a while, and then he was on a bunch of George Mraz records. So from checking out, bass players' records, he was on a lot of it, so I really, and then once I heard his sound, I was like, I love his sound. It's my favorite, so I always thought I had tried to put this kind of trio idea together many, many years ago also. I mean, it's always, I've been trying to do it along with all the other work I've been doing, and it just never worked out. I didn't find the right guys, or I didn't have the time, or, something. But I always thought when I do this for real, I'm going to call Rich and see if he's into it. So I didn't know him at all. Okay. I got in touch with him and I told him what it was. And, I said, would you be into doing it? And he said, yeah, sure. So
great. Cool.
So, and he didn't quit. So
when writing and picking tunes, now you didn't have Eric playing drums initially, like Rich was the first guy, right? So obviously you're picking tunes with Rich in mind, but not having the drum chair solidified. Was that a difficult process to select material and come up with arrangements? Because, once you get the personnel locked in, it's way easier.
Yeah. Basically I asked Eric because I know, he's like unbelievably adaptable to so many different situations. Like we played in like a million different situations. So, it basically, and he had a couple of the trios that I've listened to a lot and they're all different styles of stuff. And he just sounds amazing in all. So, I didn't really worry about it because I know he'll basically play, whatever it needs anyway.
Sure. Cool.
It was harder just selecting the tunes based on like what we discussed earlier about something that seems to have a part, or I don't want them all to be the same, or I'm just playing like block chords and the saxophone's playing the melody. So one of the other tunes on the record is a Sam Jones tune called Seven Minds.
Sure.
And so the intro is like all chord stuff. And then Rich and I play the melody in unison.
Okay.
So, so then that's different than like, then I can play a tune where it's just like block chords. And then I play the other one where it's some pedal points and we split the melody up a little bit, you know? So I tried to find a variety of stuff. Also, one of the tunes that I wrote, it's fairly short. And so we play the melody twice. And so I play the melody, or I play the whole tune and the changes completely differently and in different registers for each pass through the tune. So
okay.
It has a little more variety. Also.
Yeah. It has a different shape to it.
Yeah.
What's the title of that one?
It's called I Don't Know Yet.
Okay. Is that actually the title?
It is the title.
Okay.
And that's exactly how it happened. They said, "What's the title of that?" And I said, "I don't know yet."
Yeah.
So I thought it stuck, you know.
Yeah.
So
good.
The other original that's on is called The Unwinding, which is actually the name of the CD. Mm-hmm. And that one's kind of got like this. It has some pretty complicated chords that move by pretty quick. But it has, again, some like key spots in moving from different sections, you know? So I would hit some of those they're kind of like landmarks throughout the tune.
Yeah.
And so I would hit those with chords.
Okay.
Even I think on that one, I don't remember if I did it on the record or not. I think I might have started with like a chord solo, you know? Because the changes move so much that I think I actually played like maybe the first, I don't know, quite a few bars with just like a chord solo.
Nice.
So, and then I try to throw some chords sometimes in the solo as it seems appropriate, you know?
Yeah. As maybe like a guitar player would do. Yeah,
kind of, but not as well.
Yeah.
But,
depending on the guitar player.
Well, yeah, point well taken. Yeah, I try to like, I don't know. Sometimes it seems appropriate, you know?
Yeah.
Because it adds to the intensity and it changes the texture of it, you know, as it goes. I think it's cool. I don't think I do it all the time, but it's kind of, you know, I don't plan it. Just whenever it happens. So.
Yeah. What kind of things were you listening to do, like, if you did, I don't know, do some like research for an approach to interjecting chords in solos or chord solos? Were there some guitar players you were checking out, or a lot of Anthony Jackson, or like what were you getting some information from?
I don't know if it was anything specific. If anyone, I mean, I used to listen to a lot of guitar players, a lot, yeah. Like chord melody stuff too.
Okay. Like a lot of old Joe Pass kind of solo guitar arrangements.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Joe Pass, Herb Ellis, all those guys. Sure. I listened a ton to that, you know, but many, many years ago. I would say if anything like maybe that I listen to like for inspiration for stuff like that now is Metheny. Mm-hmm. I love
not a big comper though. I love Pat Metheny's playing. I love his phrasing and his feel and what he does sonically. Yeah, but harmonically he doesn't. But there's not a lot there. I mean, not that he can't do it, but like he doesn't comp a lot. I remember you know, years ago hanging out with a guitar player, and we were just listening through Metheny recordings, trying to hear Metheny play chords in a solo. Like, let's see if we can find a solo where Metheny plays chords. You know, and I don't remember what we found or if we found, but I just remember it being a long search. I remember it being a long search.
It seems like I remember there's some of it somewhere, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you when or where. But
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know really. I'm not sure I listen to anything specifically for that kind of inspiration, you know. It's probably more just from stuff I've practiced and, you know,
just
like
putting the
where I am
concept on the instrument.
Yeah, where I am on the fingerboard when whatever chord rolls around, if it's convenient to, you know, because I mean I've worked on everything and all the inversions and different bass notes and the chords, and so if I'm over a certain area that the chord's going to work, sometimes I'll throw it in, but
yeah,
again, not planned, you know, necessarily.
Sure. Speaking of,
I work out all the heads pretty.
All what you're going to do under the head, pretty. I mean, because you're interested in, you're interested in creating a part and not it sounding like three dudes playing a lead sheet.
Right. Yeah. It's actually like an arrangement. Yeah.
Sure.
But then for the soloing, it's just I don't have anything worked out. You know?
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you?
You had a bass built for it. Like, so that's the group. You had a bass built for it. And then let's talk about the record, because that's coming out on Steeple Chase, which has a very rich history of recorded jazz giants.
Yeah. And he recently found some old tapes that he had made of stuff that never got put out.
Oh, really? That were his recordings?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
He started recording like, I don't know, 40 some years ago, or something like that. So there's a new at a club in Denmark. Okay. There's a new like Art Blakey record like coming out. Oh. That's like, you know, it's his famous band, man, with all the guys, all the really heavy guys that were in his band at that time. Mm-hmm. In the 60s. And it was a tape that Heath had. You know, there's a few other ones coming out too, man. I can't remember exactly, but they're like coming out. I think one of them's out this month, but a bunch of stuff that's he kind of found in the archive.
The history of Steeplechase is he was doing bootleg recordings at a club in Denmark. Do I remember that correctly?
Yeah, not really. I mean, he had the place above the club and he was recording it, and it was, I think it was at a time when a lot of people were losing their record deals in America because of, you know, the waning of that kind of jazz. And so he would offer to put it out on his label. Yeah. So I got it up right here. There was Steeplechase was founded in 1972. So, psychedelic rock, the end of the 60s, you know, all that stuff that's happening. Motown, what's happening at the end of the 60s into the 70s. I can understand that Jackie McLean isn't selling the same amount of records, you know, or Dexter Gordon, you know, because with the advent of Aretha Franklin and all this other music that's happening. Yeah, exactly. So I think he offered them like, you know, a way to get their records out. Mm. So, and it's, I mean, the catalog is huge. It's been, I was checking it out. I think, he sent me the catalog for the releases for this year, and there's like 3 records coming out every month, man. I mean, it's like, it's a huge amount. Yeah. Is it a lot of European artists as well as jazz artists? Or is it just all over the board, whatever, because the guy still listens to it, right? Like the owner of the records, he's gonna vet everything that comes through and decide personally if this gets the green light or not. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people from New York, a lot of people from the European jazz scene also, but especially a lot of New York stuff. Yeah, yeah, a lot. Did that guy ever live in New York? Do you know? I don't. Do I know him? Well, I mean, I know you know him, but did he ever live in New York? Because it seems like he must have a really strong affinity for, like, you know, the homegrown New York jazz artist. Yeah, I know he frequently comes here to do recordings, but I don't know if he ever lived here for sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know his house is still in Denmark, but I don't know.
You also had a bass. Go ahead. I want to talk about this bass. I'm dying to get to this bass.
That's what you had asked me about. Yeah, I think last time we spoke, I didn't have that, and I had been trying to figure out the sound I was going for, and working with Vinny and Joey at Fodera to find like what was going to really do it. And I'd owned a bunch of different basses of theirs and other brands, 6 strings. Yeah. And I finally realized that
you were playing a Roscoe when I remember you doing some chord melody solo stuff. 15, 20 years ago. And you were using a 6-string Roscoe, like a cedar top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It was a cedar body. Yeah. And body. That's right. Maple top and a ebony fingerboard. Yeah. It was a great bass. I used that a long time. I worked out a lot of stuff on that. Again, I would always work on all that stuff and get it to a certain level and then get sidetracked by, working.
Sure. Yeah.
Playing other stuff. And now, unfortunately, I don't know. That's not really happening as much. So it's easier to
the musician.
It's easier to focus on my own thing now.
Look at the pessimistic side. Fortunately, you have the time and space to put all this together because I know firsthand it takes a lot of effort and mental and emotional dexterity to put your own stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
I record my own. I think it sucks. It sits on a hard drive for a year, and then finally, I'm just putting it out because I'm tired of it sitting on a hard drive. It's just
it's the same. After we record
with it.
Yeah, exactly. After we, I think every musician feels that way about what you record. It's hard to listen to. We recorded it, and Eric was saying, "Hey man, did you listen to it yet?" And I was like, "No." And it was about a month, man, before I could actually put an ear to it.
Yeah.
Because then you forget how you felt that day.
Exactly. How did you feel leaving the studio? Did you feel good? Did you feel indifferent at least, or did you feel like at least it's over? I don't know about the music. I'm just happy it's over.
Yeah, I felt like that. I mean, I felt like I'm glad it's done. Maybe there's enough for to release a couple tunes. Maybe there's a few songs, EP, whatever. I don't know. I just after you spend 8 hours, we did it in one day, 8 hours, and after you're done with that, it's like, because we've been playing some gigs too, which is another thing. We probably played, I don't know, 8 gigs, not too long before that. So it was good. We had time to play together.
Road test the material.
Yeah. And so that's when I threw some of it out and was like, all right, we got to get couple different songs. So, we went into the studio with a few too many songs, probably, because I didn't know what, was going to really work. So,
sure.
Because I had never really recorded it and listened back to it ever.
Wow.
In whole long form anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd listen to parts of it just to hear what it sounds like, but of a rehearsal. But, I didn't necessarily feel like it was going to be worth, an album's worth for sure, but it ended up being, and I think the tunes that worked ends up being a good flow of styles also. But, the basses that I've had, there's always been something that didn't feel like it worked. Like mainly the spacing is too wide, like regular spacing, like 19 millimeter spacing. It's too wide for my fingers to play in the register of the 6-string that I want to play chords, in all registers. Once it gets up near the 12th fret, it's like, it's so wide I can't physically do it, So I had a bass that was 17.5 for a while. And then I bought a couple other basses that had like narrower spacing just to try them out, and kind of pinpoint what I needed.
Yeah.
And then I had a bass, I had a Fodera that was 33-inch scale.
Okay.
With 17.5 millimeter. And I was like, the spacing's getting better, but I don't like the sound of the C string, the 33.
Mm-hmm.
So
really, the C, the short scale on the C string bothered you?
Yeah, it didn't have the same kind of snap that it has at 34. Huh. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Okay.
There's a crispness to the attack that I lost.
Okay,
and
interesting.
I wasn't sure if it was the wood combination of that bass or the scale length. Right. So talking with
the biggest concern on shorter scales is always the B, not the C.
Yeah, and that was a 5-string, so it didn't have a B.
Okay, you had it strung with the top 5 of a 6.
It was it was like the Matt Garrison model. So
yeah, E through C tuning. Yeah. I tried that. I tried that for a couple of months and folded. Did I ever tell you that story?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had the 5-string fretless strung E through C. Took it to a couple gigs, and then thankfully I brought my other 5-string as a backup. And yeah, like 2 tunes in, I'm just like, yeah, nope, nope. Sorry, everybody. Give me a second to switch bases because that didn't work.
Can we start at the beginning again? Yeah. I don't know, fretless. I'm not sure about that.
I dug the sound. I really dug the sound, but
right. So I still have now I have a Fodera that's a 5-string. 17.5 millimeter E through C.
Okay.
But it's, and I found out that I really love the way Purple Heart sounds. So, so that bass is one of their yin and yang basses that they did. That's like half Purple Heart and the fingerboard's all Purple Heart. So it's really a nice bass. It's still like 17.5. I can do it, but it's still not as comfortable as I'd like it to be. So
what's the spacing on the 6 you had, Bill?
On the 6 is 16.5.
Okay.
So it's quite narrow, which is great, but it's still like possible to play chords across like the whole fingerboard, but it certainly doesn't feel like they're too close together, you know? So I was worried about that, like playing like down in the
bass lines. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Or playing like chord stuff down really low, that like I'd be muting stuff that shouldn't be muted, you know? And it's I think any narrower, and that would be the case. But I think 16.5 is perfect. I wish all my basses were 16.5. Actually, I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, it'd take you when you go back to 17.5. You have to sit with it for a second just to get your muscles to readjust.
I mean, it feels a little different. Yeah. Not really. And then I go back and play the ones that are 19 also, and you know,
what's like a Fender P?
19.
Okay.
I've always switched around so many basses that it's, I don't know. It doesn't really take any time to, you know, if I was playing a lot of like chord stuff, it would be a little different, but I'd have to get used to it. But, so this one, I also had a Fodera maybe 20 some years ago that was a Purple Heart top, and I love the sound of that. So I kind of recreated that, but with the spacing and the body shape that I kind of wanted this time. So,
right, because you had a blue one also, right? You had a blue Fodera.
I have a blue 5-string Imperial. I still have that.
Is that the E through C? Strong? No. Okay.
That's the B through G.
Okay.
It's like basically a 70s jazz bass. It's ash body and maple fingerboard. And the pickup spacing is like 70s. So basically it's like a 70s jazz bass, really bright, crisp. It's amazing bass. I love it.
Yeah. Now I know we've talked about this over the years of tone woods, the tonal qualities of different types of woods. You are more knowledgeable about this topic than pretty much anybody I've ever talked to. What are the bartenders don't know about woods.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that dude didn't care. So what are the woods? So it's a Purple Heart body on the Fodera, the 6-string.
It's Purple Heart top.
Purple Heart top, and then what's the body again?
The body is ash.
Ash. And what are the tonal qualities you found in each of those woods?
I think I need the ash for the body because it has I think it makes the lower end, especially like the low mids, stronger and clearer and punchier.
Okay. And by low mids, are we talking like maybe an open A string? Like that kind of frequency range right in there? You know, I mean, as you know, I've been in the studio doing my record, and I'm talking about frequencies all the time with the engineer and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to explain it really. I don't think it's necessarily centered around a certain note. It probably is, but I just feel like no matter what bass note you play, it has like a more, a little heavier bass note and a more crispness to the attack, as opposed to like alder, which is going to be a little maybe fatter sounding, but a little softer sound also. Okay,
softer on the attack.
Yeah.
And then what about the decay of the notes? Have you found a sonic difference in how they decay?
Well, a little bit. I think the ash has a longer sustain.
Okay.
There's also, it's a neck through, which I'll show you in a second, but there's a tone block that's alder in the middle, which they recommended that the neck be basically set on top of a piece of alder, and then the ash is the body on the sides.
I see.
And then the Purple Heart top is very hard, like very similar to the ebony. So it affects the tone somewhat, not as much as some of the other components, I think. But the harder top wood gives you like a little bit more treble and clarity, and so I thought I needed that, especially for all the chord stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I have the tone control rolled back, so it's like a softer version, but the notes are still incredibly clear, you know, and sustains forever. But the 5 that I have that is a high C is an alder body, but it's bolt on, and an ebony fingerboard, and it's also a chambered body, and the 6th string is solid. So they sound completely different. The alder really is like, especially playing the 2 back to back and all the chord stuff, you know, it's got really kind of this beautiful airy sound by itself, especially. But then I think with the trio, it feels like more, you know, present with the 6 for sure, because it's just a much more solid sound, you know, and the sustain and everything. So it's got an ebony fingerboard. Those are the main components. Yeah.
Right. What kind of strings are you playing on it?
I have it strung with their strings, the Fodera strings.
Okay.
I've always kind of used their string on their basses because I have them set it up.
Yeah.
I have Joey always set it up. Also on this 5 with the high C, it's set up like 100 or 40 through 100, and
the
on 6
the lighter side, I
mean for the 4 strings are 40 through 100, and on the 6 string, it's like it's kind of a weird hybrid set. It's like 44 to 106 or something. They're all kind of all odd numbers in there.
So just like slightly heavier and slightly lighter. Like kind of a little drastic on either end instead of 45 through 105, 44 through 106.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. It's a great set. I like it a lot. But I might actually have him put the lighter gauge on it just to try it. You know, especially I have a gig in 2 weeks with the other trio that I put together, and that one I don't play as many chords. But I play more melodies of tunes because it's piano, bass, and drums. So I'm playing a lot of melodies, a lot of solos, and then some solo bass stuff too. But I don't need the sound to be quite as heavy because the piano is covering all that stuff, you know. And I think with the other trio, I need a little bit of a heavier sound to fill up that space sonically. Yeah.
What's the name of that trio?
It's called the Cinema Trio because we play all our own arrangements of music from movies.
Any select time period of movies, like old 1940s movies, or You're gonna do
anything's fair game, really.
Anything from Frozen? Did the Steve Millhouse play Frozen?
Not yet.
Yeah, I know. You got to wait for that record. That's next year.
Yeah, exactly. No, and then we're also recording a record. Basically the same day the other record comes out. So that trio is going to be recording for a couple days. Okay. We're doing like some Michel Legrand, Henry Mancini, Johnny Mandel, Jerome Kern, stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, hopefully that should be out, this year sometime also.
What was the tune? Like, having that concept is super cool. What is, because I mean, there's so much of the American Songbook that comes from those early movies or film versions of the old musicals or something. Then you're still at the American Songbook. How do you maybe try to dodge some of that so you're not just still playing standards? Or how do you go through the selecting process without watching every movie ever and thinking like, that's a cool tune?
Yeah. I thought I wanted to do some of those because, if people want to go hear you play, movie music, they're already expecting to hear something they know.
Right.
So I didn't want to completely lose that. They'd be like, wow, I've never heard any of these songs before. So like, for instance, like the Henry Mancini stuff, there's so many, he wrote so many tunes for so many movies.
Yeah.
And one of the tunes I picked of his was actually not from a movie. It was from the TV series. So I actually had to throw that one out because I wanted to keep it with the movie scene, but, I basically, we're going to do Days of Wine and Roses, of course, because I just think, I don't know, there needs to be some things for people to grab onto that aren't, that are like with the average listener in mind.
Sure.
So like that.
And the cool thing about that, I think, is if someone hears the record and knew it only as a standard, like, this is from a movie, so it's kind of like it informs on a different perspective. If someone knows it from the movie, well, like, here's the music from it that maybe you listened to and glossed over. If you know it as a standard, like, maybe go check out the movie because it's from a movie.
Right. Yeah.
Jack Lemmon, right? Is Jack Lemmon
believe. Yeah. Yep. Happy little movie about alcoholism. I didn't just make fun of that.
No. I was about to. I was about to go a place. Yeah, I'm not.
But so I did listen to like a bunch of different Mancini soundtracks, and I found some like really, really, really beautiful tunes. First of all, it's like a shocking amount of stuff, and the genre of music is all over the place, man.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such a vast amount of stuff that he wrote. It's very cool. And, I started making a list and it was like, I already filled like a whole page and I was like, all right, we got to stop somewhere here,
Yeah.
And so then I kind of, got rid of different ones for different reasons, but there's some great tunes and there are movies I didn't even know about. I'm not a big movie buff anyway, but there's one of the tunes we're going to do is called Music on the Way.
Okay.
That's
another Mancini?
Yeah, but they're all ones that are like kind of more obscure, Loss of Love. So
I'll look this up.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's and the thing is they don't sound obscure. They're just beautiful tunes that nobody really has recorded other than a couple people, maybe other than the original movie score.
Right. Well, that's cool.
And
did you ever go back and watch the movie?
I haven't.
No. That also takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it does. So,
It was recorded
just
by
listening
McCoy
through
Tyner.
for which tune?
Loss of Love.
Oh, okay, that one's played a little bit more.
Okay.
Joe Locke did a great album of all Mancini stuff that George Mraz is on.
I see that. Yeah, in 1995.
They play that as well. Yeah, it's really good. Some of the other stuff that is on that album too, that I found when I went back to listen to it. Whistling Away the Dark, a bunch of different tunes that are really cool.
Wow.
But I also have like a solo version of Moon River that I have the solo bass. So there's still going to be some of the tunes that
I love that tune.
It's a beautiful tune.
Yeah.
I have a chord melody version with a bunch of harmonics and stuff. So
cool.
It'll be some. They're all very listenable tunes, even though they aren't well known.
Right.
So
right. That's killer. Let's check out the bass, man. You right there?
Oh yeah. Ouch.
So what?
One
what
thing
scale?
about it is.
Oh, yeah. How heavy is it?
It is a lot.
Yeah.
Like it's a chiropractor's dream. Honestly, haven't weighed it, but it's probably close to 12.
Okay.
I mean, it's a lot of weight,
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll try to get back away so you can see it a little bit here.
And what was the decided scale? Is it still 33?
34.
34.
Okay. Yeah. The C string just has a snap at 34 that it doesn't have at 33.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I could play a longer scale, I'd probably do it.
Yeah.
But 36 like Anthony's, but
oof.
It's not in the cards for. It wasn't in the genetics for, or the cards. Yeah. But anyway, that's it. It's kind of a combination of.
There you go.
A couple different. You can see it, kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's and then there's the headstock.
Yeah.
In the back of it is.
Oh, that looks
hard to see.
Yeah, I see it. So that strip down the middle. That's the alder.
That's alder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a neck through.
Mm-hmm. What are we doing with the preamp there? There's a lot of controls. What do you have? What's on the preamp?
It's a pretty normal Fodera one. It's volume and tone.
Okay.
Pan pop for the pickups.
Yeah.
Then bass, middle, treble.
Okay.
And then 3 groovy switches that I don't really know what they do. Now, I think this one you can set the different mid range, which I never mess with.
Sure.
This one splits the coils of the pickups.
Okay. Oh, okay. So those are both. Okay. So
they're both dual coiled Seymour Duncans.
So you can run each pickup in series or parallel. Like you can split the front, the neck pickup, and the bridge pickup.
Yeah, it splits both of them at the same thing.
Okay,
so that splits the pickups, and then this one is the active passive.
Okay.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah.
So honestly, man, the only thing I really
just fine.
The only thing I really use is the volume and the tone, and then occasionally the pan for when I play a bunch of harmonics. I just edge it just off center,
Okay. Do you play it in passive more than active? Oh, you got a detuner.
No, I like the active actually. And so then it has. Let me turn it around the front one first.
Yeah.
It has the extended B headstock.
Okay.
So like the B string is here,
right,
which is B A E.
That always makes. I was always curious about that. Why B was always the first one? Why the heaviest, thickest string had the shortest?
Yeah,
I never understood that.
Yeah, that's
on a 4-string Fender when the design started, the G string doesn't need the tension. The E string would need the tension.
Right.
I never understood. The reverse headstock thing, like on a jazz bass, made way more sense to me.
Yeah,
I mean, Leo Fender did a lot of shit right, but
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. I like the 2 and 2, headstocks.
Yeah, me too. I like symmetrical headstocks.
Yeah. So this one, I had him put. So this is the E.
Okay.
So there's a hip shot on the E.
Yeah.
So I can do like a drop D thing on that, but doesn't affect the B and the A. You know.
Oof.
So they hadn't actually done that before on the sixth. Like put the hip shot on the E. But
hey, is this?
I don't use it a lot, but a little bit.
Is this a standard thing they do with the B going all the way to the end of the headstock?
Yeah, it's the standard. If they do it either way. They do it with the symmetrical or the extended B.
Okay.
Extended B headstock.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I had seen that before.
I had a couple of other ones that were like that. But the top part is actually like the Anthony Jackson bass.
Okay.
So when we were going through it with we were at a drafting table I was at a drafting table with Vinny. Mm-hmm. And so he got out the templates for the two different basses that I wanted to kind of combine, and we put the plexiglass and drew it, and I was like, let's change this, and it was great, man. It was a great experience.
Well, that's cool.
It's a pretty unique shape, but yeah, the top is pretty much straight up the Anthony Jackson model.
Okay.
But the bottom part is
Matt Garrison.
Basically, no. His comes in. That's what I didn't like. His comes in this way.
Okay, has more of the hook.
I wanted
That's
to
right.
go out this way. So the out version that way is like my the blue bass, the Imperial.
Right. Okay.
But since that's 26 frets, that bottom horn had to start farther back.
Sure.
And then I had him cut it out a little farther and extend the bottom of the body a little bit.
So it's really playable up around fret 26. You can still.
Oh yeah, you can play all of it. Yeah,
that's
like
great.
I never hit anything when I go up to the top.
Okay, that's perfect.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's better than. Do I use the 25 and 6? Not really, but it makes
right.
it makes the 24th more accessible.
Right. Right.
So,
and it's also like when you know that the cutaway isn't going to speak well, you automatically know, like, in the heat of battle, stay away.
Right.
Because it's going to get complicated. I'm going to have to move some weird left-hand position to get the note out, and that's not going to happen based on what I'm playing. So if you have the freedom to go there or not, perfect. Whether you do or not, whatever. But knowing you can land the notes safely and they'll come out clear. You don't have to go into thumb position on an electric. Yeah, without having to change your hand shape. And, you can be under it all the way up to the top. It's right. Yeah. And so then I also had to move the cutout where your leg goes. Mm-hmm. I had to move that a little farther back, so that the neck's out a little bit farther. Sure. So it's easier you can play from the low to high without feeling like you're shifting the bass or your body. Right. Yeah, and it's how did that change the balance? What did they do to kind of keep the balance of the bass by throwing that off? Did they tell you, or did they just body's do it? Heavy enough to, and I wanted the bottom of the body a little longer, so if I was fitting it on my leg, it would be a little taller too. Sure. So, yeah. And then we completely, reworked the whole bottom side of the bass. Okay. But the top side is basically Anthony's shape. And then, without the carved top, his has like a, different shaped top, but that's the outline of it, of the Anthony bass. And then like a modified version of the Imperial on the bottom. Okay. That's killing, man. So that's killing. Yeah, that's a great bass. I've had it now about a year and a half. I was kind of working all that stuff up when I had the one of the other basses. For a while I didn't even have a 5-string that had a high C, and then a couple different 6s that were too wide. Yeah. So it's hard to practice that stuff too much when you don't have the right bass, because then I would start to have some numbness in my hands. Oh wow. Because of the wide spacing and all the stretching, Sure. So I was never really able to, that was another reason I was never really able to spend enough time doing that stuff until I
bass. And so now I can really practice with it for hours, and I don't have any hand issues at all.
Nice.
None.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's totally worth it.
And that's in the Cinema Trio, there's less chords, but you still use the Purple Heart Fodera?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I with that one, I messed with the other one a little bit because like I said, it has a little lighter, airier sound, and it's nice. But then during the piano solo, when I go down and I need the real low notes, it's not as heavy.
Right.
And it's the other one sounds, I would say, in the high register more like a bass playing really high clear notes, and this one almost has more of like a guitar-ish sound.
Okay.
In a way. Yeah. Up high. I don't know. It's hard to explain exactly without hearing them both back to back, but
right.
It's just like for playing the melodies, it sounds much more clear and ringing instead of the other ones like light and clear. Mm-hmm. And it's nice, but this actually is the one that needs to be in the group.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. And I think the idea of having the concept and making sure that you have the exact right instrument, not just like I'm going to do it on a 6-string, but like to really deliver the fullness of this concept and the music that I'm hearing, it's going to require this, and going out and making that happen. I think that's cool, and how important the instrument for the group is in any situation.
Yeah. In a lot of other things that I play, I think I could use a lot of different basses that are all good, and they would be I still choose whichever one I think is the best for the situation. But in this case, it's like the only one for the situation, because right. It wouldn't be possible to do for me anyway, right. to do without that instrument. So yeah, it is. It's like, it's it's on the cover of the CD too. And it's in all the pictures, because it's like, it really did make it possible for me to be able to do this kind of stuff, especially a trio with sax.
Yeah. I also think it's cool that, in the trio with saxophone and drums, you're playing, a guitar-like role or maybe a piano-like role while playing bass. But then in the Cinema Trio, you're playing almost like the horn-like role. And then still along with guitar and bass, it's really pushing, in both groups, pushing different aspects of what the bass can do. Instead of trying to cram all of those things into one group, and exhausting that group and exhausting that concept, like diversifying it to have a different roles, I think is great. The one doesn't get burnt out.
Yeah, and I think very differently in each one, because I'm either like playing the melody like as the horn player would or whatever, and then playing bass.
Yeah.
While the other guys are playing. And in the other one, it's like I'm never really playing the melody by myself. If it is, we're playing, we play the melody in unison or something. So
right.
I never do that side. And then I play a lot of chord stuff, which I don't do, like you said, in that one. So yeah, it's fun to have the two different outlets, and the more I play in each one of them, the more different they feel, and the more I feel like I play differently in each setting, because the requirements are very different.
That's cool. And the record coming out on February 15th is the Unwinding, and that's the trio with tenor and drums. Right. On Steeple Chase. There's something else I was going to, Steve Swallow wrote some liner notes for that.
Oh yeah. Actually he plays, he's probably been one of my biggest inspirations, bass playing, especially like with the high C string. Mm-hmm. He plays a fair amount of chord stuff behind things, a lot of single notes, but he also, there's some stuff that I've heard recently that he was playing, the bass note and the chords behind somebody, and he's done that a lot, I think, over the years. And especially, then he was when he was doing the duet with Carla, with the piano and bass, he'd play a lot of melodies and then bass lines. And again, she'd play mostly the chord stuff, but he does a lot of stuff where it's just the same kind of group, tenor, bass, and drums.
Yeah.
And he adds some of those things in there too. Yeah, I mean, I would say I'd probably listen to him for inspiration of that kind of stuff as much as I did any guitar player, really.
Oh, cool.
Though I feel like I don't, and I'm not necessarily trying to play the way he plays.
Sure.
I can't. It's very unique. But certainly I listened to a lot of it, and I still do. You know, he's the greatest, man.
Yeah. He's got such a non-fusion approach to an electric instrument and the bass guitar within jazz and acoustic music, you know, playing with the pick and his whole concept of sound that he's delivering with the instrument. He's not like a fusion guy that doesn't play upright that's going to try to swing, you know, because there's those people in the world too. And I'm not talking shit, but that's a thing. Like guys who have it's just a different style. Yeah. Absolutely different school of playing. Right. But what he's done for the electric instrument within more acoustic music is super unique. Super unique.
And again, he also like has been, you know, searching for the right instrument to do what he does. And it's been a constant quest, you know, until he found he's even on, I think, maybe the 5th or 6th different version of the Citron like that he plays. Very, very unique bass, you know, hollow body electric with a pick. It's long scale also. I think it might be 36.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But anyway, it's,
it just sounds awesome.
unique sound. But yeah, I asked him if he would write some. I've known him a bit for, you know, not real well, but off and on for. I mean, let me explain that better. I've known him for quite a few years from going to hear him play so much. You know, when he was in town, and we kind of got to be friends and have stayed in touch. I think by he was playing, I can't remember which trio because I've seen him so many times with different ones. But I think he was playing with Carla one of the times, and it was at Birdland. He was playing a week in Birdland, and so I would go for the second set every night. And so I was sitting like at the bar, right at the edge of where the bandstand is, you know, and. I think one night after he was done, I said something. I said, "Hey, man, the music is fantastic," or something. And then so he came out from the back room the next night to go on stage, and he saw me sitting in the same seat again, and he kind of like said, "Hey, you know, got a stalker here." Like, then we probably said hi again afterwards, and then like the third day in a row, he comes out from the back, and I'm sitting in the same seat again, and so he walks up to me and he's like, "Don't you have anywhere else to go?" And like I said, no, not really. But he's got an amazing sense of humor. He's, you know, I mean, I heard him play the same set, you know, like 5 days in a row, and it was always different and always interesting.
Yeah. So that's cool, and I think that's. That kind of thing is a testament to, like, I don't want to say a true jazz musician, but a high caliber one to deliver fresh ideas, you know, over a long stretch of time. And that's right. That's an experience you can only get by listening to them repeatedly. It's similar to what you did by like same place, same people, same gig. And you can understand that part of their musicianship only by going, you know, 2-3 nights and like, wow, he played fresh stuff every night. Okay. That really is that every time I hear him, this is only right now I'm hearing him.
Yeah.
And
I've heard people that didn't sound that way too, you know, that they sounded pretty similar every night. And there's nothing wrong with that either, man, because they were all very good, but Yeah. I mean, yeah, they were basically, it was a fresh start every day,
I think that's cool
for them. Yeah, it was great. And it was great to see him, from it's irreplaceable, to see people that are that good, from 20 feet away.
Right.
So,
no, that's
yeah. So then I asked him if he would write some liner notes for me, especially because we play one of his songs, as I said, and because I'm not trying to have it be a fusionish kind of thing. So I think it's more of a style that's similar to his in terms of approach, anyway.
Yeah. There's an influence there that I think that's cool, and that he did, and
yeah, it was great. That was very, very happy he took the time to do that.
Yeah. Cool. So that's February 15th. You're going in with the Cinema Trio that day to recut the second one. When the first one, The Unwinding, comes out on the 15th, it will be available everywhere on the 15th. As
far as I know, that was the estimated date of it. Yeah. So it should be available on all the streaming stuff. There will be physical copies going to the countries where they still have a store that has physical copies. So those would be available. But yeah, should be on all the streaming platforms February 15th. Yep, The Unwinding.
That was my talk with Steve Millhouse. Yeah, it was pretty cool to Steve Swallow. Wrote some very kind words for the album in the liner notes. That's really cool. If that were me, that would have been a huge deal. I would have been freaking out a little bit. I definitely enjoy Steve Swallow's bass playing, and that would have been awesome to have connected with him. Again, the record is called The Unwinding. Check it out on SteepleChase Records. And stop by stevemillhouse.com for all other information. That's about all I got, folks. If you're enjoying the podcast, please give it a 5-star rating. 5-star. I mean, you don't have to do the 5, but you got to do the 5. Yeah, stop by. I'm on social media, basically just Instagram, _bass_shed, Twitter @bassshed. Stop by, reach out, say hello. I always like when people do that. Actually, there was a gentleman on Instagram that reached out to me not that long ago and was recommending some bass players that he thought I should speak with. And those episodes are going to be coming out pretty soon. I'm still working on getting in touch with those bass players, but I'm excited to, and I love the fact that the listeners of the podcast are getting involved to that level. So thank you all so much for listening. And that's all I got for this one. I'll catch you on the next one in a minute.